At Strong Start, we really believe that there's great benefits to a routine for a child. When a child can predict and expect what the next activity is in their day-to-day routine, it enables them to be prepared for the changes that happen within a routine. For example, if a child's playing in his play area and then all of a sudden you just kind of pick him up and take him to mealtime without any warning or anything, you'll get some resistance from that child because the child will be like, but I was just playing right now. I want to play with this. And so a routine or a schedule really helps a child know, okay, first I go to the playroom and then we go for a snack and then I go outside. And so, and if there's a set routine and schedule, that really allows a child to feel ready for the changes. Because sometimes change is really hard for a child, like switching gears is really hard. And so the more routine and that a child has, the better the routine is, the better the child flows and goes along with that routine. So we think that's from a child development perspective, a routine is incredibly important. Now, some nannies do dual responsibilities. They're also doing housekeeping work, and they're also working and overseeing the care of a child. And that means that there's a lot of tasks on somebody's plate. And the more organized that a nanny can be in her tasks, the more effective she'll be at her duties. And so if there's household duties combined with child duties, one is that parents often want, when the child is awake and on, you want your caregiver to be attentive and making sure that engaging the child. And but if you also have household duties on top of that, then a nanny needs to be really organized and know that, okay, the child is going to be playing outdoors with this during this time. So this is the perfect time for me to add clothes to the line while the child's doing this in the garden. During nap time, that's the best time to do meal prep because, meal prep is a little bit more dangerous. You don't want a child around the stove or the oven or knives. And so while the child is sleeping, that's the best time for nannies to do some meal prep. And so if a nanny knows all of her duties and knows the full schedule of the child, what we do is we work with the nannies to put it all down into a schedule, a nice, concise weekly schedule, so that they are ready to tackle those duties effectively throughout their day. And what we've seen and we've proven is that if there's a schedule, the likelihood of the task getting done is much greater than if there's no schedule, if it's all in her head. And so what we try to do is we encourage nannies to take the responsibility of all the tasks in her week off of her mind and into the schedule, so then it's there and then you just follow along and make sure that you meet those timings and schedules. And so there's a job description and a contract. So if you have that down first, then nannies know, okay, if I agree to work for this employer, these are my tasks and duties. This is how much I'm going to be compensated for my time doing these tasks and duties. And if in the event that I'm called to do extra work, this is how I'm going to be compensated. So it's super clear, right? And then, of course, the scheduling part. So the tasks and duties now get put into a schedule. And, it's really depends on each household whether they want the nanny to be doing those, to be creating that schedule. And often is the case that nannies that come to us don't actually have a schedule that they've received from their employer. So we encourage them to create their schedule and then to take that schedule back to their employer and the employer to review it, sign it so that the employer actually does review it, and then bring it back to us to either edit or build on, or the employer gives feedback on it, or the employer says, yeah, it's fine, great, and and then sometimes there's other employers who want their children to follow a very specific schedule that they create themselves, and that's where they create their own schedule, and so. If you have the job description and if you have the contract and then you have the schedule, then there's no issues that should come up. Or if there are issues that come up, if there's extra tasks, then maybe the nanny didn't know that she was supposed to be doing these extra tasks, she can revert back to the job description and be like, oh, I didn't realize that because it's not in the job description. And that's really up to then the employer to be like, okay, do I want her to be doing that? And if yeah, let's just throw it into the job description. Let's agree on it and let's move on, type of thing. And if it is in the job description, but the nanny hasn't done it, then it gives the employer, some premise to be able to raise it. Be like, listen, as we discussed, this is part of your duties. Can you look at your schedule that you've created to find a time so that you can make time for this? Or did you want to come in 30 minutes earlier to complete this task, or stay 30 minutes later to complete it? What works for you? So again, having an openness about it. And if the JD is there, if the contract's there, you know that you can just revert back to it and use it as a basis for the conversation.